Sure.
Coach stops him mid-conversation. It's like, you know what? The way you're approaching me is unacceptable, it's disrespectful. Your kid doesn't show up to practice, doesn't do this, doesn't do that. As of right now, your child's no longer on the roster. I wish you the best of luck. Have a good weekend. And left. That's therapy.
Yeah. All good.
All right. So, welcome everybody. SFBA, episode 4. We're here, 4. I think it's 4.
4?
If it's not, I'll fix it. But it's 4 to me.
We're
I know it's been a while. We had the summer camp. That was a few months ago. We had our AAU season. And then I got into all those Sunday basketball trainings. I was at the gym from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I would just fall asleep.
How you do that? That was wild, yeah.
I don't know. I shouldn't do that. That's the moral story. When people say, Coach, can you do this? Can you do that? I should be like, no, because I'm going to shut down when I get home and I'm useless. Yeah. So how you been, man? What's going on?
Pretty good, man. But, again, same thing, right? You set out to do certain things, right? You set out to do regular shooting and, but life happens, right? You have games, you have tournaments, and then you do Sunday clinics, and then you have winter break, then you have holiday season, and then, just a lot. I mean, a lot, again, family vacation, traveling, life. So, but we're back though. We got a couple of weeks before we start our summer season, spring season. Pretty excited about that. We've been lucky enough to have some practices Monday evenings and really start the process early to try to hone in some things, try to lock in early. So when we get into the season, we'll have a jump start on kind of where we're going to be and our hopes. I hope to, again, every year, right, 10% better, right? That's the hope, right? Some of the gaps that we had, that I know we had, looked at some film, shout out to all the parents that record, been able to go back and look at some of the gaps. And I was able to find some things, do a little research, right? Got in my bag a little bit. I'm excited about this season. You and I have talked extensively about what the season could look like and kind of where we are. And it's pretty exciting. It's always an exciting time, spring coming back around and, really seeing some of the guys play off season. Some of them have definitely gotten better. All of them actually have gotten better in some respects. So it's really cool. I'm looking forward to it. How about you? So, you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I am. But just real quick, Coach always talks about getting 10% better. I went the solo screen on here right now, so you can see all the medals. So 10%, 10%, 10%.
Oh, man, come on. Don't put me out as like that, man. Shout out. Shout out to the Great Boys team, man.
It's adding up.
I don't do nothing, man. Honestly,
he speaks it and he's living it. I'm just saying,
I go out
man.
there and I just talk.
Right there.
I just go out there and a couple of yell sometimes and kind of give them encouragement sometimes and, kind of make some substitutions here and there. But, shout out to them, man. They play hard. So I really appreciate them. And, they take direction as well. So I'm happy.
Oh, yeah. Back to your question. I'm feeling good. I have the 4th grade team and the 8th grade team.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing them compete. We've had those practices on Mondays as well. Really getting into our defense now. We spent a lot of time working on getting our base offense, making sure players had some fundamental skills that I needed them to have within the offense. And now we're applying the defense. But I'm really trying to make sure we're competitive within what we're doing. We're applying some physicality. I want them to build a mentality that's going to set us apart. And I want them, I'm not saying to go out there and be bullies and just, crack down on everybody. But I want them to know when they step on the court, they've got a little edge mentally over the other team. And if somebody can match us, more power to you. But I want them to always feel like they've got to play with that intensity. 8th grade team too. They've been surprising me with some of the off-season improvements coming back into it. Great. I'm seeing guys not just skill-wise, but communication, stepping up, intensity, direction. I see guys talking to teammates during practices, setting them up, working together. Definitely things that we've needed in the past. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think we have a solid roster. I'm feeling confident about it coming off of some of the practice we've had. So hopefully it all just comes through and, we're successsul. But you never know until the first tournament.
I mean, even then, right, that first tournament, again, I got to say, the boys are gamers, man. Like the kids we have, they're gamers. Like there's always that real weird first game jitters. I mean, you get in, it's kind of like, okay, this is because, and I've heard every parent say that this is different from the league they play. They play CYO, majority of them. Some of them play Taisho, some of them play, Boys and Girls Club. Some of them play Dragons. It's definitely a lot different playing, club basketball. It's a lot different feel. The speed is a little different. So they always have those first game jitters. In every team that I watch, when I do watch this play, when the season starts, every one of our teams has a little bit of jitters. They're kind of bouncy a little bit, a little jumpy. But when the game starts, they give it their all. Win, lose, whatever. They play hard. And, it's definitely cool to see. And last year we had a practice. The very first practice we had every team in the gym at once. The energy in that place was crazy. Like it was really cool. Everybody had a smile on their face. The parents seemed excited. The kids were excited. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to watching your kids play, man. I really am. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And the one game where Matthew hit the 3-pointer that took us overtime.
Yeah.
And the whole gym was just like, SFBA, clap.
Oh,
clap.
man.
And I was like, but it wasn't just, the place was like vibrating.
Yeah.
And you just knew he was going to make that shot. Like
Yeah.
you called a timeout, set up the play, got him going, got the pass, shot. And it's like before he even shoots it, damn, he's about to make this. It's like you just know it because
do it. Yeah.
everybody is just feeding their energy into him at that moment. And it's like,
Yeah.
man, everyone just taking this shot with him. And there's no reason why he's going to miss this. Like, this is going to happen. And then we end up winning the game.
Awesome,
but yeah, when you get people kind of all cheering towards just like that one identity, that one thing, it's bigger than us. Like, it's a community we're building, which is awesome.
We have a great village.
You know?
Yeah, we have a great village, man. I'll say that for sure. Yeah.
So it's beautiful.
Yeah. Shout out to all the parents. Appreciate you guys.
Shout out to, parents. Appreciate y'all. Anyways, I wanted to talk about, since AAU season's coming up, one of the big subjects or conversations that we tend to have with families is playing time.
Yeah.
Coach, how does my kid get on the court? Why is my kid not playing more? I think my kid should get this. Why'd you bench him there? And there's always a reason, at least from our standpoint. Like, I never just sit a kid just to sit them.
Right.
And it may not be their fault. It might just be this other player is doing this or that. And there's always a reason I can give a parent. And I'll be honest. But when parents have questions about playing time at the start of the season, when everything's fresh, how do you go about explaining to your families and your players how you can earn playing time when the season starts?
It all starts with communication, early on. Like, I'm privileged enough to go be able to see some of my guys play in their other leagues during off season. And I see what they've done. And like I said, luckily for us, we have practices on Mondays, so I'm able to kind of see where everybody is. I have a pretty good idea of my players' strengths and weaknesses, and I've had some of them quite some time. A majority of it is going to just be based off of play. I had one player come to me once and say, "Hey, coach, you remember when I started?" And I was like, "Yeah, I remember." And then it came down to a couple of questions about how come I'm not. And like you said, sometimes it has nothing to do with you and has everything to do with, who's on the team. We've had some additions and the rotations changed. The level of play changes. The skill level that we need to excel at certain set points changes. So I think it's going to be a lot of reasons why a kid may not see the floor, because a lot of my kids play, right? I play everybody, but I definitely do play people in certain spots, and I do put them in certain situations. A lot of times kids don't understand, and parents don't understand, when you have a full team and you have players that gel, it definitely sets a tone, right? I have a group of 5 that play really well together and another group of 5 that play really well together. So if I start to mix and match those two, you will see a change in the play. The level of play, the communication changes, and that's something that we're definitely going to work on. But, effort matters, skill matters a little bit more, depending on the situation, right? if I need an effort play, if I need somebody who's going to get after the ball, he's going to be on the ball handler, he's going to cause a ruckus, he's going to be communicating, he's going to be diving on the floor for 50-50 balls, grabbing rebounds, he's going to be playing on ball defense like I asked, he's listening, he's taking direction. That guy's probably going to play a lot more than a kid who's a little quiet, who doesn't play on ball, who I always have to correct, who I always have to bring to the side and say, hey, I need you to do this. It's not about making mistakes, right? I don't sub kids out for making mistakes. I've been lucky enough to not have to do that. But I have subbed kids out for attitude changes, for not giving effort, for not following direction, right? Not making a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. There's no such thing as a perfect basketball player. But when I look to either start somebody, I do it based off of skill. I do it based off of effort. I do it based off of how they communicate and how they take direction and what they do with that direction, right? And there's other factors as well, but skill and effort are going to be the two things that I really look to. So if a kid comes to me and says, hey, coach, I want to start. Okay, this is what you need to do to get to that point to where you could potentially start. This is where you are. This is why you're not starting. This is what you need to do. And again, I've been blessed enough and lucky enough to have kids who are understanding, and they know that I'm on their side, and they know that I care about them, and they know that I want them to be successful. And it just really boils down to, okay, so now that you have this information, what are you doing with it, right? So if I just have to say one last thing, if you have the ball in your hand when you're hooping, there's 5 people on your team, right? You got 5 guys. You have the ball. That means there's 4 kids who don't have the ball. How are those 4 kids who don't have the ball impacting the game? If you don't have the ball, you don't have the ball 95% of the time because only one ball, it's 5 kids on offense. How are you impacting the game? I always look at what they're doing off the ball because that is going to be where a majority of the impact is going to come because only one ball on the court. So I really look at that, what they're doing and how are they trying to make an impact. So skill and effort are going to be the 2 things that I look at when I'm choosing starters. And then again, everything else falls under categories a little bit after that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a lot there because it's never a perfect scenario. Like there's always a reason why to start kids. It could just be personalities. Like you said, I have a group of 5 that work well together and these 5 work well together. And that could not be based off of skill. That's just, they just mesh better and it makes our team better.
Right.
And that happens. For me, when I look at playing time, I always have to tell players first, everybody has a shot. None of you are guaranteed anything. Yeah. Everybody's open to all these minutes. There's only a finite amount of minutes I can give you every game.
Right.
How many you get is based off of a number of factors. A lot of it can be controlled by you. Some of it can't. Right.
Sure.
Maybe you couldn't be at practice. I'm not going to play you that much if you don't know what we're doing. Not because you can't play, not because you're not good enough.
Right.
You're just not up to date on what we're running in our system.
Sure.
So when we go out there, we run this set, you can't run it because you haven't been here.
Right.
Maybe it's not even your fault. You got hurt. Your parents had something going on. So I tell them, sometimes you just have to kind of roll with it, but you still got to be ready. Mm-hmm. But if everything's in a perfect box and I'm saying, hey, you want to earn playing time, number 1, you got to be here. You can't show up, I can't play you because everything has to be in our system. This isn't some team where I'm asking some kid on the weekend, hey, can you play today? Just because he's good. No, we're trying to build a team that plays within a structure. Number 2, are you good enough to execute the things that we're doing? If we're pressing, can you execute the way that we press in the areas we're pressing? If we're on offense, can you set these screens properly? Do you make what we do better?
Right.
And if you're not executing those things, then I have to put in the player that is. And it comes down to that. Can you execute?
Yeah.
Are you showing up and can you execute? And if I have 10 guys that can do that, you just made my life harder. And I like that problem. Because now I have to figure out who plays when and where. It's just a matter of, I know you're going to give me your best. You're going to execute. Yes, some players will make mistakes. But again, there's always a turnover on the stat sheet. It happens. All right, there's always a loose ball that gets to the other team. It happens. The other guy gets a rebound. It happens. But are you executing to a higher standard than them the majority of the time.
Mm.
And I always tell the guys, your first competition is your teammate because
Yes.
you want to start, he wants to start. I can't
Mm.
start you both if you're in the same position.
Right.
So y'all kind of have to battle back and forth.
Sure.
And if one of you shows that you're stepping up, you'll get that. Hey, guess what? Come back next week and practice. You have a chance to step up as well. And
Right.
every week, it's back and forth. It's not a personal thing. This is not, I hate you or I like you more. This, you've got to show me you're earning it. And
Yeah.
if you were my starter week 1, you may not be week 2
Right.
if you haven't maintained the status to earn it. You have to keep earning that week to week. Coach, like you said, the guy asked you, remember when I used to start? Yeah, you used to. What happened? Don't ask. I'm asking the
Right.
player. What
Sure.
happened? Why aren't you starting
Right.
anymore? Do you know? Well, I just think it's no. Well, why did I put this kid ahead of you?
Right.
And again, I didn't just put him there because I like the guy.
No.
I put him
Right.
there for a reason.
Right.
And if you don't know, I'm more than happy to sit down and explain it to you.
Yes.
But most of the time, it should be obvious.
Yeah.
It should be
Yeah.
obvious.
Sure.
But if it's not, I'll have the conversation with you. No problem
Right.
at all. But
Right.
my biggest thing is, are you here? And can you execute and perform what we want? If you
Sure.
can do that, we have no problem. You'll
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. There's and also I like to say there's also a line, right? When we're coaching and I don't have favorites. It's not about favorites when we're talking about games. But most times there are 5 kids who you can trust,
Hmm.
and you always usually start the game with your 5 best. Okay. Now, there could be some deciding factors that you may not be able to put your 5 best because, again, you said, are you showing up? Are you here? Are you not? Those things are all valid. But you try to put your best 5, or you put the 5 out that are going to do what you need to get the game started under control, right? And then you have the 5 on the other side of that who may have a different skill set when they're together that they're going to be able to perform
Of
certain
course.
actions that you would need, right? There's always going to be times and spaces where you can mix and match them. But for the most part, you're going to put your 5 best. How do you know they're your 5 best? Based off of the practices that you have, based off of the games that you've had. They've showed you that you can trust them. They've showed you that you can rely on them. They showed you that they can take it. But for me, most importantly, everybody make mistakes, like I said. But the one thing that I see a lot of kids kind of struggle with is, what do you do after you make the mistake? What's your body language like? Drop your chin, you throw your hands in the air, you throw your fists, you don't get back on defense, you complain, um, like you get upset. Like, if I see that, I'll squat you. I've sat kids for that. I've sat kids for making a mistake and then having a reaction.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't
I've
have a
done that.
reaction. You can't have a reaction when you make a mistake. Self acknowledgement internally is okay, but it can affect that microsecond that it took for you to make that mistake should not affect the rest of the game.
Shouldn't.
But a lot of kids struggle with that. So that's another reason why I would not start a kid, or I would sit a kid, or his playing time would be kind of pushed to the side, because I can't have that. Because again, I have to manage 11 other kids, sometimes 12. I have to manage the clock. I have to manage the outside what the other team is doing. I have to manage what we're doing offensively. I have to sometimes manage parents, because the refs will say, "Hey, your parents." Shout out to my parents. I love them.
Shout out.
They're incredible people.
Let's
No,
go.
man, like they get so hyped and they get
Yeah.
the boys going and they hold the boys accountable, and it's all love, and they get to a point where they're very supportive of all the players. So shout out to the parents. Shout out
Yeah.
to my parents,
You
man.
got
They're
some amazing
great.
families. They're really
I
supportive. They're super involved.
uh,
Yeah. Good people.
dude, I've had to go talk to them at tournaments because the ref will say, "Hey, man, go talk to your parents, man. I gotta go. I gotta go. Hey, are we in trouble? Hey, listen, They have to look like I'm talking to you guys because they asked me to. Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are fine." And then I go back. But no, But again, I got a little off topic. But I feel like it's there's a lot of factors as to why a kid will start, or why they will lose their spot, or why they're not getting the playing time they feel like they deserve. But I don't know a kid, and I don't know if you've ever met a kid that would tell you, I want to come out. I'm tired. I need to sit. Most times, they'll just keep playing. As long as you let them stay, they're going to stay. So it's just finding that balance of who my best five is, or who I feel can start the game off with a bang, and who do I feel can help control the game itself. And then when the game gets on the line, now you start to mix and match. Now you go, okay, I have two guys with size. I need rebounding. We're down. I need some rebounds. Okay, those guys will go in. Okay, I got to get my jump shooters out. We're down. I need some shots up. Okay, now these guys go in. So then you'll start to mix and match. Another thing that I feel like a big issue is, like, a lot of parents and a lot of kids feel like playing time should be even, right?
Nope.
I've heard that. Playing time should be even. My kid's not playing that much, or he didn't play a certain amount of time. There's always going to be deciding factors in that as well. It's like, again, what are they doing to show me that I can trust them in those moments, right? I'm going to give them opportunity to be successful, just like you would. Now, am I going to say to you that you missed a game-winning shot, you're not going to play next? No, I'm not going to do that. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when you're out there, are you doing the things that I need you to do? If you can do that and you can say that, then your playing time may go up. But if you can't say that, then your playing time may go down, or it may stay the same. But it's really based off of your performance. It's really based off of your effort. And it's really based off of your ability to follow direction, execute. Like you said, executing is huge. If you have 5 seconds and you got to run a play, can you execute that play? I'm drawing it up as you're looking at it. I need you to go here. You go weak side corner. You flash up top, on ball screen. We're going to roll. We're going to do a zoom out. Whatever you're doing, can you do that? And if you can't do that, I know my guys who are going to get it like that, who I can draw something up, they're going to get it. I know that. I know there's some guys I'm going to have to rewrite, or really explain. Where am I here? I'm standing here. Okay, what do I do? It's just a thing. But if you can minimize that and learn to minimize that and really focus and lock in, it's definitely going to affect your minutes for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned something about, like, somebody's mental focus. Like, are you getting down on a shot? And there's something I saw on social media about a week ago, and it was a former player, and we had an interview with his coach, and he was talking about one of the best things I ever heard, and I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
It's like, we played a game, and you had a player, and I think he's talking about himself. He's like, you had a player that went 1 for 18, and this guy's, down, and then you go to the guy, I don't know if after the game or during practice, and said, like, how many minutes did you play? He's like, I don't know, maybe like 24. He's like, all right, how much time do you need to take a shot? He's like, I don't know, half a second. Okay, cool. So you shot this many times, and you missed this many. It's about what? I don't know, 6 seconds of your life? Yeah. So you're letting 6 seconds or 7 or 8 seconds of your life impact the 23 minutes and 52 seconds that you could have done something.
Yeah, you could, exactly.
And you're letting this very small amount of time impact the larger picture. And I was like, wow, that's a really good way to put it. And like you said before, like, when I see a kid get out there, even in our scrimmages that we do, in our basketball training sessions, same thing. I'll see a kid make a bad pass, put his head down. I was like, man, put your head up. It's like, you made a mistake, make the next play. But you're too worried about what you just did, you can't make another good play. And now it just buries you. It's more dirt that keeps filling on top, and you feel like it's just this weight. And I was like, let it go. I was like, no one here is mad at you. No one here is upset. Only thing that we're upset about is that you can't let it go.
Right.
Learn to let it go, because the next thing you do is going to be the best thing you do if you don't let it go. And for me, like, I've had good players. Like, this a couple years ago, we played in a really good game, and one of the kids used to play for us, and everyone's like, oh, we're playing that guy. And we had beaten the first 2 teams bad. We just destroyed them. So everyone's hyped up. So they're like, all right, this is going to be the championship. So we end up playing that team. We lose by like 7. But we get down by 11, like, in the first 2-3 minutes. I can tell one of the kids, he was trying to do too much. And when things didn't go our way, he's over there pouting. He's hitting the bench. He's doing this. And I'm looking at everybody else. No one else on the team looks like him. So I sat him for the whole half. We come back, guys are talking. We got this. They're hyped up.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I had my best player on the bench, my best
Right.
player, right?
Yeah.
But not the best
Yeah.
guy for the moment.
Right.
And those are two
Right.
different things. This
Two
kid has
things.
probably the most skill on the team, but at the moment, he wasn't ready for that. And so I had to put in the guys that were, regardless of their skill. And they
Sure.
stepped up. They made the plays. They got on defense. They made the steals. We scored. We kept it going. The game was like back and forth at that point.
Yeah.
Families were going crazy. They were excited. We put on a good show,
Yeah.
something that everyone could have been proud of. Even
Yeah.
though we lost, that was a
Right.
good game.
Yeah.
And it's not always who my best are. It's who's ready
Sure.
for the moment. We
Right.
played in Reno. I know we played in Vegas. I had one kid hitting shots. He wasn't my starter, but I had to rethink it. It's like if this
Sure.
kid is having a good weekend,
Yeah.
he's got to get more minutes. All right. He's showing that he's ready for this weekend, this tournament, this moment. And so it could be we've been practicing like this the whole time. But if this kid's performing better, I'm not going to sacrifice the chance that we can be successful just because we've been doing it this way.
Right.
If this kid's on fire, guess what
He's
we're
staying.
doing?
Yeah.
This kid's on the court
Right.
until he
Riding
proves
with him.
otherwise.
Right.
So it's not always because you've always been here, because you're this in practice. Maybe this one day, this kid is just, he's having the best weekend of his life, the best game of his life. Everything's just clicking. We've all had those games. We go out
Yes.
there, we're playing, and it's like, I feel like I can't miss.
Can't miss today.
Well,
Yep.
you better get everything you can out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We are going to
Yeah.
use you till the wheels fall off. But you have to be ready to sacrifice. You have to be willing to say, it's okay. I'll let my teammates shine today, and I'll do everything I can to back them up. Some days
Right.
Steph has a bad shooting day. Steph gets a ball. Clay has a
Right.
bad. Steph gets it. Like, it's not always, if I'm not hitting it, let me set better screens. If I'm
Right.
not shooting right, let me make better passes. I'm not scoring, let me play better defense. How do
Yeah.
I still make an impact? But if you come to me and say, Coach, I didn't get this or my minutes, what I'm going to tell you is you didn't do anything to be effective.
Right.
Well, I didn't get the ball. Okay, let's say I never give you the ball again. How can you still make an impact?
Exactly.
If you can't answer that question, you have no
Right.
idea what we're doing here.
Right.
This is about you.
Right.
And I understand you want to get better, but I'm focusing on the team.
Yes.
I want to help all of you improve, but I need to make sure that this team is successful. And if you haven't bought into that, then I can't help you.
Yeah.
And your minutes will continue to decline because you're invested in the wrong thing that will not get you back on the court. And if your
Right.
attitude ain't right, I promise you, you won't play that much.
And yeah, just to make sure I reiterate and piggyback off of what you said. Again, if you're on the bench and you're pouting, or you're on the bench and you're upset and you're not focusing on the game, you're sitting at the end of the bench, your head's in your lap, your arms are folded, you're leaning back in the chair, you're slouching in the chair, you're not engaged in the game, and I see that. I see everything. I guarantee you it's going to affect your play. Bottom line. Because that's not what we're teaching and that's not what we're about. So, again, character matters. Your mentality matters. And that's definitely something that is going to be looked at. So, again, just a suggestion for all the kids who's watching. Coach always sees what you're doing. If they don't see it, the people in the stands see it. If they don't stand, people in the stands don't see it, your player, your teammates see it. Everybody sees what you're doing. And if I'm a coach and I'm looking at kids and I'm scouting, or I'm coming out of high school and I come to watch you play and I see that, your name's getting checked off my list.
Yeah.
Bottom line. And I can guarantee you a lot of coaches will stay the same.
Yeah. I had a
Because,
conversation
Yeah.
with a bunch of our players on Zoom about 2 weeks ago, and I had a chance to talk to some of them individually. And I was telling them things I need to see from you this season to get more minutes, or things I need or would like for you to improve on in order to take the next step in your game. And for a few of them was shooting. I was like, are you getting up enough shots? It's not everything in basketball, but we still need to make sure the ball goes through the hoop.
Yeah.
And if you get open, you need to make sure that you're a threat to score. Can you catch and shoot? Can you hit the open jumper? And I was like, are you spending the time to make sure that's happening? Are you getting up the 500 shots a day? I'm not saying you have to get it once. Go to school early in the morning before classes start, get up 100. You know, maybe at lunchtime you get up a few more. After school you get 4 more. And you could chop it up.
Yeah.
But the volume per day can still be there, right? And then maybe I only got in 300 today. Good. Then you have an extra 200. You got to make up another day.
Sure.
So when Saturday rolls around, when nothing's happening, add that onto your volume. So at least you can maintain the same number. But if you're just, I took some shots today with my friends, I did this, and you want the ball?
Right.
No. Like, you didn't do the things you needed to do to really make progress. Just like working out. If I need my muscles to get bigger, they have to undergo a certain amount of load over a certain amount of time with recovery and everything else involved to actually get bigger and stronger. If I go to the gym once a week and kind of do something, then scroll on my phone, then do something else and go back on the phone, then walk out and think I worked and deserve something, I don't. It's the same principle. We talked about formulas earlier. What's the formula? The formula is work, repeat, check to make sure on the right path, do it again. And you keep doing that to make sure that everything stays in cycle. But if guys aren't improving, especially when it comes down to shooting, which should be something everybody can work on. Like you said, go to a park, go to an open gym. After school, there's a ton of courts there. Before school, get in early. Tell me I didn't have time? No, you just didn't make the time and prioritize it.
Right.
And if we're going to be playing, we got to score points. If you can't do that for us or apply another skill that's valuable to our team, you're not going to get minutes.
Right.
I don't know where to play you.
Right.
If you can't score, you better be able to defend, handle the ball, or you better just be a dog out there and do all the little things. Because if you can't bring some value, what are you important at on the team? I think that's probably the wrong way to say it, but like, where do you bring value to the team? You have to know where. And if you can score, that helps a lot.
Sure. Speaking of little things, what are some little things? So forget scoring, right? Let's get scoring out the way. Give me a couple of things for you that you would tell a young man or a young lady that, all right, this is what I need from you. Off the ball, you're not on the ball, okay? We're not talking about the ball handling. We're not talking about shooting. Give me a couple of items that you think are important that a kid should be able to do off the ball, that you would say this is going to affect minutes, this is going to affect your play.
So I'll start with one. Let's say with kid doesn't have any of the skills, right? So there's a kid on my team now. I told him this a few years ago when he tried out. I offered him a roster spot. I told him, you're not here because of your skill. You're not that good at dribbling. You're not that good at shooting. Those skill things that people like, you're not here for that. You're here because I think you're going to bring something different. An energy, a toughness, physicality, just everything that doesn't belong in a stat sheet that probably should, that's who you're going to be. If you can bring that to this team this year, you're going to play a lot. And he did. And again, you know what I'm talking about already. But those things, this guy goes after it. He gets on the floor. He boxes. He rebounds. He's going after every loose ball. He'll get a putback. Won't score a ton of points, but everything I need him to do that other players haven't done, or maybe just don't have it in them, like mentally, he brings. And I tell him, I had a conversation with his parents. They asked to talk to me last Friday before the strength training session. Coach, I just want to know where you see his development. He's going to go to high school next year. We want to give him the best chance to make it. I'll see if he brings who he is every day in tryouts and practices, coaches will be like, damn, who is that? Like, again, I told him you still need to improve on skill, ball handling, movement, things like that, passing, shooting. But if you just go out there and show the coaches you're willing to work harder than anybody else, but meaningful, right? Like, this kid sprints super fast, but it applies nothing. Like, the work you do is meaningful. Like, you'll set great screens. You'll get an enormous amount of rebounds. You'll just apply a physicality that other players don't bring because they want to be skilled and all this other stuff. You'll make a team. Unless there's like 12 other guys like that with skill, then you're kind of messed up. But other than that, if you can bring that, you don't need skill for that. And that's probably the easiest part that people miss. You can never play a game of basketball, but if you come ready to just to hunt and go after it, I'll take you. I'll teach you basketball. But you bring everything else, you'll play. So that's the first thing. Number two is I need you to communicate.
Oh, man.
Again, most players work on shooting, work on skill stuff. So I know you have that somewhere. But if you don't talk, nothing works for us. I watch guys in our scrimmages that we do on Sundays, open run stuff. And they're over there, they're dribbling, they're looking around, trying to score and do all this other stuff. And then they'll throw their hands up. I don't know. Or say something under their breath to a guy 50 feet away that can't even hear them. It's like, you can't help fix the problem unless you talk.
Right.
When you're on the court, you've got to be able to communicate. And I tell them in the beginning, I don't really care what you say.
Right.
I just need to know that you're willing to speak. But if you can't talk and you're a good player, it's just about you.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to learn how to get out to talk. If you're an average player, but you can communicate, I still need that. You can call out screens. You can call out our defense. You can call out this. You can call out that. You can keep people in check.
Yeah.
So if you can just hustle and if you can communicate, the other skill stuff, I'll get to. But if you bring at least something I think is viable to play on the court with hustle and communication, those have got to be the two biggest things that can help you play basketball for me.
Yeah. I agree with that. Definitely. I mean, just my guys. I mean, communication is going to be big. I mean, just based off of the changes that I'm making, based off some of the things that I'm doing, communication is going to be huge. I mean, I saw a couple of my players play this year. I was lucky enough to say that. And one of my guys, he kept getting screened, and no one said a word. He's the guy at the top. He's guarding on ball at the top of the read line, and the guys get one screen. The guy's getting to his spot. I yelled at him, "Ice the screen, ice it." He heard me. He didn't look at me, but I know he heard me because the very next time he was going to get screened, he iced it. He jumped and made him go left. When he started doing that, that eliminated that kid's whole advantage, and now they're on equal footing. So after the game, I asked him, "Hey, when I told you to do that, did it help?" He was like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." My other guys were on the team. It doesn't take much. I can hear a good team outside. When I walk in the gym and I hear guys yelling, screen right high, low, switch. When I hear that, they don't understand how it just makes the game so much easier for you. And it just slows things down. Communication is a huge one. Rebounding, huge. 50-50 balls, huge. There's a loose ball, you have to have it. Whatever you need to do to get to that ball, we have to have it. Deflections, steals, getting your hands in the passing lanes. But I think the communication piece, that would lead to all of that, right? Mm-hmm. If you're able to talk to each other, right? And I think holding each other accountable is something else that I feel is definitely lacking in a lot of spaces because they don't want to hurt each other's feelings. I don't want him mad at me if I tell him he messed up. You have to be able to communicate effectively with your teammates. Bring them in. Hey man, you gotta roll. You can't stand there. Like, roll. If you're gonna set me a screen, you gotta roll. Okay. Hey, you got a backdoor cut, man. That guy, you gotta be able to speak to your teammates and let them know where they had their advantage, so they're thinking. They're constantly thinking about it. It's another thing that I feel is something now they don't have the ball. Just accountability piece, talking to each other, communicating with each other. That's going to be huge. But yeah, no, rebounding is a big one. 50-50 ball is a big one. Even deflections. You don't need to get to steal every time, but getting your hands in the passing lanes and getting some deflections, disrupting. On-ball defense is huge. Not playing drop coverage, which will cause a lot of problems. But I mean, there's so many things that a player can do that's going to affect playing time and just their court time. And there's so much that they can do that you don't need a ball in your hand for, but you definitely have to make those things priority to be effective. So, yeah.
I think we talked about this earlier. We were speaking before this. What do you bring to the table? And how are you valuable to the team?
Yeah.
And looking at if a player, at least for me, like we go through tryouts, we had a podcast, check out that episode about tryouts. I've already picked my players. I've seen what they can do.
Yeah.
They need to have a discussion with me and I with them about what I need you to do this season. Right?
Yeah.
And like I said before, if I work with a player that doesn't play for me and then we do training and I ask, okay, what do you do on the team? What kind of system does your coach run? Where does he have you? What position? Like all these details. You can't answer that question for me. Either you're not invested enough in your own team to know what you need to do, or you don't care enough about your success to go up to the coach and ask, right? Coach didn't tell me. It doesn't matter. Then ask him, right?
Ask him.
Same thing for me. Like, if I have a player, hopefully I'm explaining to them where they're going to bring value to our team. And I give them where they can bring it, when they can bring it, what they can do. Again, like I said, I went through my starters and my guys off the bench. Here are the guys I think can run point guard because they bring these skills. Here are my guys that are shooters. Here are my guys that do this. Here are my guys that do that. So I have an idea of where I think their skill sets are. As long as they do those skill sets well, we're going to be solid.
Yeah.
But if they start going into somebody else's skill set, not saying, a center can't make a three, but if you start overvaluing a skill that's not as valuable that somebody else brings, you're taking away from why I got you here. Again, I brought you here to be a rebounder, but now you want to be this finesse guy in the perimeter. I brought you here to be a shooter, but now you've been going like 1 for 20 for the last 2 tournaments. Are you doing the work to elevate? I'll look to find where I can help you, right? Maybe change some things up, to get you a better look. But again, if you're just missing shots after shots that are wide open, either we need to have a conversation because maybe something's going on in here, what's happening at home. I'll talk to you first as a human being. Obviously, you're a person first. But once we play basketball, again, we got to figure it out. And if something's in the way of that, somebody's going to take the place.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a personal thing. Now, you said, you don't have favorites. I do. The ones that work harder, right?
Right.
If you work harder and you show up, you're kind of on my favorite list. I love all of you. But again, I'm not a parent, but I always use the example. If there's that one kid, I love you all. I like you more. Right? I just, I don't tell them. Right?
No.
Like,
I feel
I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I got you.
I always feel like if I'm a parent, there's one that's like, if I got to sign the will over to somebody, they get this, but you get the house. It's like, well, how do they get it? They were just better. I don't know. I just, you had all life to figure it out. So I say all this to say, again, it's not a perfect picture. I'm willing to have a conversation with any player about playing time. Why I played you more, why I didn't play you, what you can do to earn more minutes, what happened this tournament. Remember, I started here, I didn't start there. Why is this player starting over you? I will go through that. I don't like having it with parents. Now, I'll have it with parents of younger players. Because, again, I'm dealing with little kids. Maybe things aren't that well understood. It's good to get the family involved. I don't like having it with, like, older middle school, high school players. Because I feel at that point, if you can have a conversation with me about minutes and you need mom or dad to step up to me to ask, it's going to be really hard in life.
Yes.
Like, you can't go to college and have your parents email your professor why you didn't make it today. Or, like, again, at some point, this is about you. You have to start to build that. And I think around the 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade, for sure, and then high school, I'll talk to you about the minutes. I'll talk to the parent. That's fine. I just don't like it because I think at some point the kids got to take this on their own.
Yes.
They've got to understand this is about you earning it and not because your parent came here and is upset about it. I could care less if the parent's upset. Now, again, if I've been, a horrible person, you need to check me on it. Okay, cool. I'll listen to that. But if it's a matter of X's and O's and performance and getting it done, again, your kid just got to step up. If you need to know why, I'll tell you. But little to what you're going to say is going to make me change my mind. I need to see it on the court. I need to see them here. They got to perform. And that's where I think the dynamic between parents being too involved or not involved enough. Again, I love having conversation with families. But some things I think need to be more from the from the player to coach. I'll fill the parents in, or the player can fill the parents in. But it shouldn't be a player-coach only conversation about playing time. That player needs to hear it from me, and I need to relate it to them. And I think that should be a little more between us two when it comes down to why you don't get minutes or what you can do to earn them more. Because if I tell the parent, again, no, they're not earning minutes. The player is. So let's have the conversation, and we'll determine or not if you earned it.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think it's fair, and to have the expectation that your player can come and talk to you and say, hey, I was curious about this. But but they have to be able to have that tough conversation. They have to be okay with it. There's going to be a lot tougher conversation they're going to have as they get older. So this is just something that's going to be part of the process. You have to be able to have these tough conversations, understand them, and then move forward from them. And things can get lost in translation. There could be some things added that maybe not need to be added. There could be some things that get interpreted differently based off of who receiving the information. So it's always better to go straight to the source when you have a question so you can understand it. And if the adult or the parent wants to say, hey, I appreciate you talking to my son or my daughter about this. I really appreciate that. I had a couple of questions. Let's have the conversation. We can discuss it, and I'll let you know where we are and why we said it. I have no problem having a conversation with anybody. It's not going to change the answer. You may get a more in-depth or more detailed answer if you ask specific questions. But really what it boils down to is, can the player understand what's happening, why it's happening, and what are they willing to do to fix it? And if we can come to a mutual understanding, not an agreement, but just an understanding that this is what you need and this is how we need to move forward and this is how we're going to progress. And if you want to see a change, this is something that you're going to have to do. Great. But, again, we have to understand we have an entire team that we have to manage. And again, we're basketball coaches and, we do have to manage emotions. We do have to manage personalities. We do have to manage time. We do have to manage a lot. And we're up for the challenge as long as, you want to have that communication and you want to talk, we're going to be willing to do so. But you have to be able to and be willing to receive the information that you get. You may not like it all the time, but we're not telling you because we want you to like it. We're just telling you because we want you to understand it to the best of your ability, and we're going to try to explain it to the best of our ability. But it's not a matter of if you like it or not. It's just a matter of this is what the truth is, right?
You're just getting information. It's not right or wrong. It's just what it is.
Right.
Whether you like it or not really is not a concern for me. Even when it comes down to minutes, like I'll have some parents, my kid only played this many minutes or this, or you didn't play them for this much of this half or whatever. I tell them up front, I don't keep track of minutes. I don't sit there and look, oh, this kid played this many. Well, now let me I don't care. Not that I don't want the kid to play, but I'm coaching the game.
Right.
The ups, the downs, all right, what's going well, what's not going well, substitutions. Again, my lineup probably changes from here and there.
Sure.
Again, this rotation is just playing better today. So it might look different. Again, I don't sit there and be like, well, how many minutes you play today? Oh, you only come on in. I don't coach the game that way because that's not basketball.
No.
Again, if this is younger basketball for some little rec league, for kids developing, every kid plays a quarter. Then you go this, then you go that. I get that. That's just for development and for fun. But if we're trying to win, we're trying to play, we're trying to go out there and be successful, I'm coaching the game.
Sure.
Not how many minutes. Now, obviously, afterwards, if we're looking at it, I can see who played how many minutes here and there.
Yeah.
But while I'm coaching the game, everything about my thought process is how do I put us in the best position to be successful?
Yes.
And sometimes your minutes will be sacrificed.
Yeah.
Again, it may not even be your fault. You just maybe weren't here the last couple of practices because you've been injured. All right. Or maybe, again, I've had kids that have been injured, broke a foot. So they come back in. So I don't play them as much as they would want to. I want to see how and once I see them kind of, maybe that's like my version of a minutes restriction.
Yes.
I'm only going to play the kid about 5 or 10 minutes just to see how they do. Doctor said they're fine. Physical therapist said they're fine. When I watch them, I don't want to put too much stress on it yet. They're still getting back in shape.
Yep.
So that could also be it too. Right?
The same.
But when it comes down to just exactly what it is, I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
Whether you're okay with it or not, that's up to you. You have to determine whether the information I'm giving you is something you're willing to accept and utilize and learn from, or just get mad about. Like I told the story years ago, like when we first started doing this program, and the dad was like, "Yeah, it's not about minutes." He was mad because one kid always got the ball on the inbound play, and he came up, "Yeah, do you have a minute?" And I was like, "I don't really." He's like, "Well, it's only a little," but it wasn't. This became a long conversation. So he asked, well, how come this kid always gets the ball? And I'm just concerned. It seems like he always gets the ball inbounded. So I'm like, okay. And I'm explaining. And he just keeps going. Then I kind of get, okay. So I take the big whiteboard, I draw it up, and I go through every single scoring option. And I'm using all these basketball terms just to look at his eyes and see the glaze.
Yeah.
Because now he has no idea what I'm talking. I'm talking about pin down and
Oh
this and
man.
well, and then it comes down to I don't know. I just think that maybe, and I was like, okay, let me bring this home for us. Who inbounds the ball? My son. Why don't you ask him why he always passes that one kid? Might just be because that guy gets open. I don't know.
Hey. Okay.
But you're over here complaining about something that's really a non-complaint. The fact
Right.
that one kid gets this inbound more so. When I've shown you on the board how everybody can get the ball,
Right.
but your son seems to think this is the better option. I never tell him to,
Right.
right? And if it
Right.
works, what's the problem?
Right.
If we inbound the ball successfully and we scored, what's the problem?
Right.
Is it just because you want your kid to be the one that gets it? Probably it.
Probably. Sure.
Like, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But it's just, are you looking at this from the team standpoint or just from your kid? Because like you said, we're managing an entire roster of players.
Yeah.
Emotions, success, failures, all these things. So we think about everybody.
Right.
What that person's concerned about is just what their kid isn't getting or what they think they should get. You
Sure.
think they should get more minutes. You think they should get the inbound pass. You think they should get more points. Well, on this team, that's not what they're getting.
Right.
Sometimes you got to take a step back to take a step forward.
Yeah.
So let's keep running that play. And until you decide not to do it no more, this is what we're doing. I'm not going
Yeah.
to change it because you think your kid deserves to get this pass.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's
if you know
tough.
better, make your own team.
That's tough
easy.
because you, well,
It's easy to
it's
make.
hard.
I'm not saying it's easy to do. I'm just saying
Yeah.
anybody
No,
can make
true.
a team.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like also when they get into heights, like you said, 7th grade, 8th grade, and up, you want to have that conversation. The question being for me, some schools have a roster of 15. Some schools have a roster of 16, 15, 13, 12. Um, would you go to your high school coach and say, hey, my son's not playing a lot of minutes? Why? He's on the bench. Look at all those kids who play D1 basketball. If you look at these benches, there's like a 7 to 8 man rotation that play. They have all those kids on the bench, and all those kids are ballers. They're all best, all conference, all city, all state, 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits, 3-star recruits, but they're on the bench. They're not up there. So do you think their parents say, hey, yo, AD, what's up, man? My son, number 25, he ain't played yet this season. What's going on? He played garbage minutes the other day. What? So I think it's really important to understand what your kid is doing to affect his minutes. Again, it's not a right or wrong, like you said. It just is. Now, there are certain instances and there are certain places and programs where you will go where it may be different. But if we're speaking from our perspective, from what we know in our program and how we run things, everything is earned.
Yeah.
Period. You earn what you get. If you earn the right to start based off your performance and your effort and all the other things we just discussed, congratulations. You earned it. However, if you're not on the floor and you're not starting or you're not getting a lot of minutes in very critical situations, you earn that also, good or bad. So as long as we keep that in perspective, as far as what you're earning and getting what you earn and what you deserve, then everybody should be fine with the outcome. But you have to keep that in perspective and you have to be real. And I think that's part of the problem is, right? They're looking at it more of a skewed because they're looking at it more of a personal attack. And it's not personal. Like you said, I love you all. I like you all. You're all great. It's not personal. But I have to look at what the team is doing, have to look at what the needs of the game are, and that's what I'm coaching. I have to look at every instance. Do I need bigs out there? I have some kids who are bigger, have some kids who are smaller, right? All our teams are different in size. If there's a team of larger kids and I need rebounds, why would I put in my smaller shooters? I wouldn't. It's just not a thing, right? Depending on the game situation, if there's 30 seconds left, we're down one, I need rebounding, they're on the free throw line. I'm going to have the biggest guys out there that I can to grab that rebound, call a timeout, and now we can advance the ball. Now, so again, I am coaching based off the situations. I'm not looking, okay, well, this is my situation. I need a rebound right now. We're down one. He's going to shoot a free throw. Have you played yet? Go in there, man. I'm not going to do that. And no coach would do that, right? No coach would do that, or no coach should do that.
Yeah.
Because that's not basketball. We can't do that. So, again, it's very important to just keep that in perspective. We're coaching based off of the needs of the team, based off the situation. And as long as everybody keeps that in mind and keeps that in perspective, there shouldn't be a question of why my son or daughter isn't playing as many minutes as you feel they should, right? As you feel they should. Now, that's going to differ based off of what I feel they should or based off of what I need at that moment. So, yeah, just keeping that in perspective is definitely going to help answer some of the questions that you have, and just being honest with yourself, being honest with your child. Understanding where they are, understanding what they do well, understanding what we need at the time. And if you're honest with yourself and you look at the roster and you see who we have and you see what we're trying to accomplish and you see, certain situations, you're going to go, that makes sense.
You hope
or you may
so,
not.
Right?
Or
you hope
you may
people
not.
see that.
Right.
And again, it's not always, nobody always has to agree. Some people disagree. And what they'll do is, if they think, I think you just brought this up. You hear what I'm saying. I give you what it is. It's not personal. It's just what it is. It's not a personal attack. And I don't think people always look at it. Sometimes I have people think like, oh, coach doesn't. It's like, no, I don't. If I'm expressing that, I apologize. I don't mean you to feel like this is a personal thing or I'm trying to like ruin your child's career. But if they're not doing certain things, like again, I've had players on my team, like our girls team a few years ago. Some players I didn't play that much because when they would play defense, they would get beat a lot. When they felt pressure with the basketball, they'd lose it. And it would happen enough times where it became an issue. So other players that were able to handle pressure, were able to better defense, they got more minutes because they were able to fulfill a need we needed. Not that certain players weren't good, but I had to manage when the game showed up. Are you executing? Can you handle the pressure? Can you protect the basketball? Can you play solid defense to make sure that we're in the games? When I put you on the court, you just got scored on. I put you in 30 seconds ago. I put you in the game. You just lost the ball. Like, we've been doing fine against the press, and now you're losing it. And again, maybe you don't understand what I'm trying to express to you. Tell me. I'll talk to you. But if I hear nothing, you're just not performing. So that's where it also comes into. Yeah, and you have to understand, if I'm giving you a role or taking it from you, I'll be happy to explain to you how you earned it or how you lost it.
Yeah, sure.
But again, if it comes down to the latter, what they'll usually do is just find somewhere else to play because you think you're hindering my child's performance. If you think I am, that's fine. Yeah. Again, there's a bunch of coaches. If you're successful in another program, I will wish you all the success in the world. I just want you to get better. I want you to reach a goal. But it's not personal. This is not because I don't like you or I think you're not good. If you're on this team, I think you're good enough.
Absolutely.
And I told a bunch of other kids, I don't think you are.
Yes.
But I selected you because you showed me something that I think our team can utilize.
Right.
So I'm going to give you everything I can to make those skill sets shine.
Yeah.
It's just on you to be here and perform. Yeah. And if you do that, again, there's minutes for you. And if all 10 of my players are doing that, you made my life really hard and you've done a good thing.
Yes.
Again, I will accept that. But again, if you don't, again, it just becomes complaining.
Right.
How come I'm not? How come this? You're looking for expectations that you haven't earned.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And if you can accept that, there's other programs to go to. And if you do better there, that's cool. Maybe I was the factor. And if I was, I apologize. But I'm going to do what I feel is in the best interest of the team. But that also means helping you get better.
Right.
And I always come to every practice with that in mind. How can I help every one of my players get better so it makes our team better? If all my players can play, we're good. If they can all handle the ball, we're good. Why would I sacrifice that? I don't walk in, how can I make your life harder today? No, I want to make, how can I make you better today? Because we want to win. I know you want to win. Your parents want to win. They're investing a lot of money and time into this. I'm not here to lose. I'm here to make us better.
Right.
And if we can achieve those things, let's do it. But if you don't agree with my format, no problem. But this is how you're going to earn minutes.
Yeah.
It starts with your attitude. It starts with you communicating. It starts with you being here.
Yeah.
Skills I know you got because I selected you already.
Exactly.
All right. I looked at that in tryouts. Again, skills, that's the number one thing I said. Can you hoop?
Skills.
If you can't hoop, there's nothing I can do with you. I'm sorry, get back in the gym.
Right.
But because you show me that you're competent on the basketball court, okay, cool. You have those base fundamental skill sets. Now the other stuff is up to you.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I agree with all that. Yeah. I mean, again, I hope that people can see where we're coming from and try to understand it. Again, try to understand. Not understand it, but try to understand it. But, again.
Let me say one thing.
Oh,
Parents, you don't pay for playing time. So don't go up to your coach, and if the first thing you say is, well, we paid for this. Again, in my mindset, just leave. Here's your money back. Go away.
Oh.
Because this is not what you paid for. You paid for coaching, and you paid for your child's entry into a tournament, not for their minutes. They've got to earn that. But if you come to me, oh, well, we paid. No, you might as well just leave. I just say that.
Oh, wow. Wow. You've heard that.
Yeah.
You've actually heard.
I heard people,
we
paid all this money. We thought our kids would get more minutes. You what? You paid me a certain amount of money, and you thought that would add to your kid getting a certain amount of minutes. No, not in.
That's very interesting to me.
Club AAU basketball. It's like, you paid me to coach your child. You paid for your child to come to practice. You paid for your child's uniform. You paid for their entry into the tournament. You did not pay for their playing time. They showed up to earn it. If they haven't earned it, they'll get little to no playing time. Now, it's hard for a kid to get no playing time. They have to really screw up to do that, right?
It's really difficult.
Or they're just injured.
Sure.
All right, and there's only one time I've ever coached, I didn't play a kid the whole game. It's because he just never showed up, and because it was a big game for our high school team, where two guys, it was the last game of the season. We just came off a tough loss, and I was like, I'm coaching this thing to win. This kid right here barely comes to practice, needs to get in better shape, has to work on this. When he's on the floor, again, doesn't always bring the right things. I'm trying to say this as nice as possible. But I'm not going to sacrifice the chance that our seniors get to go off on a win for a kid that doesn't show up.
Sure.
So that's why I didn't play the guy. But again,
I hear you.
That's once. If you played for me, you played at least something in a game.
Sure.
Right? I'll find a way to get you in. It's on you to stay on the floor. But not because your parents paid. I was like, everything that I'm giving you is what they paid for. The minutes are the only thing you have. That's why I say I want the conversation for playing time between me and a player. I'll fill you in as a parent. But again, you want to talk about where's the uniform? We'll talk about that. You want to talk about where practices are, the schedule? Again, I'm the guy you deal with for that. You want to tell me you paid and they need to get minutes? Again, you and I are having the wrong conversation. And if that's what you honestly think,
that's very interesting. Wow, man, that's incredible. All right. I mean, wow. All right. Well, I mean that's a tough one. Like, honestly, I've never heard that. Like, that is incredible that you've heard that before. So, I mean,
I think I told you the story. The first couple of years we were in Vegas. I think it was maybe our second year we went through for a tournament.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this other game in between ours. And it's a close game. It goes whatever, back and forth. And this one team wins. Coach, high five, do all this stuff, walk off. And then one of the parents came up, and they were just like, how come our kid? I didn't hear everything they said, but I got the gist of it. I think it was Saturday. They still had
you told me that.
Friday. They still had like Saturday and Sunday. So it's like he just cut him there. And they just stood there, looked at him, were like stunned. He just said, thank you, walked away, and they stood there for like the next 5 minutes, like wondering what happened. And now you got to tell your son he ain't
Wow,
on the team
man,
no more.
I remember
And
you
I'm just
telling me
like,
that.
that's how you do it. That's how you do it.
How
I was
you
like, I
do
was so
it.
proud. I was
Coach,
like,
man,
I
come
need
on,
one of
that's
those moments.
rough.
I need someone to come to me, just super disrespectful,
Oh
so I can say, you know
no,
what?
man.
I appreciate your time, but this is how you do it. This is super disrespectful. I got the other players here. Your kid doesn't do this. I wish you the best of luck. You're no longer on the team. And just, I don't want to do that.
Listen,
But if I ever
that's
did,
tough.
I need you
That
to record
guy.
it. get
Yeah,
this.
I mean, that sounds like something that had been going on for a while, and he had just been
That had to
putting
be
up with it.
Yeah, it had to be
That
like a
had to
build
be.
up.
That
Yeah,
had to be. There's no. I mean,
yeah,
you especially with your program and like how you build it. That had to be like some underlying thing that was like just
yeah.
festering over time. You're like, you know what? I'm done. I gave you guys opportunities to do X, Y, Z. You chose not. There was definitely something in that man's soul at that point,
Yeah.
based off of that.
But he was
There's
smooth
no
about it
way
though.
he
He
was,
came off
huh?
like he had that memorized. Like, it's time. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, said it, thank you, and walked off like mic drop. And I was like, oh
Oh my
my God.
god! He hit
That's cold
Hermano
as
like that
ice.
on the way to
My
the gym. He was like,
man.
if they ever come up to me and say something like this,
Man.
I'm going to say this to him. He like inner monologued it the entire year, and
Man.
he was just in his head. He was like, "Yes,
He's like, this is the
this is my
time.
moment. This is my moment to
Man.
shine."
He walked off. I
Man,
did it.
that's rough.
In his mind. He's like, it worked. It worked.
Oh no!
Man.
Oh man, that's a good one, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's the reality. I mean, I understand as a parent you want the best for your child.
Of course.
And you want them to have every opportunity in the world.
Yeah.
And I can never overshadow my want for a child to be successful versus their parent.
Yeah.
Because I know the day you saw this child come in this world,
Of
everything
course.
for you changed. And
Yeah. Absolutely.
nothing I have between you and your child will ever trump the amount of love and want for success a parent will have for that kid. So
Absolutely.
I understand from that standpoint, there's so much that goes into it. But you also have to kind of step back and and understand that there's a bigger picture here at times. No matter how much success you want for your child,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not going to be enough. You
Yeah.
want your kid to go to this great high school, but their GPA just isn't high enough. You can
Sure.
write all the letters of recommendation and all this other stuff. They didn't meet a standard. You can want your kid to go to Stanford. That's cool. But if they didn't meet these expectations and the demands and everything that goes into it, it may not be enough,
Yeah.
right? So you have to figure out how else can we get the opportunities
Yeah.
that we're looking for. And sometimes it comes down to just work. I
Work.
told the kids today, like, you didn't get the ball, shoot better, all right? Rebound, do something to be effective. But don't sit here and complain about it because life doesn't feed off of your complaints,
Right.
all right?
That's
It
fair.
feeds off of your work and your production. You do that, you might get what you want. And even if
Maybe.
you do, it still may be hard,
Yes.
right? And we have to start to teach people that everything isn't fair,
Right.
all right? Like, you have a chance to get certain things, you might just have to work harder for it.
Yeah.
And if that's the
Yeah.
way your life goes, if you want it to go anywhere, you just got to get a shovel and start digging
Yeah.
because the work doesn't get done without it. So,
Right. Right. Shout out, man. That's good stuff, man. Bro, that's
man,
good stuff.
had this speech written. No, I wrote it down. No.
That's a good one, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. So playing time. I mean,
Yeah.
again, effort, right? Effort, right? Production, skill set. Um, I mean, just though quick little bullet points. 50-50 balls. What are you doing when the ball's not in your hands? So again, anybody listening, players, parents, please understand it's not personal. Um, don't take it personal. Try not to. Do your best to not take it personal. But there's always a reason why, if you don't feel like your kid is getting the playing time that you feel they deserve, um, or you don't feel like they're getting enough playing time just in general, there's always a reason why. Please communicate. Please ask. Um, again, I can't speak for every coach, but I know myself and Coach White, we're willing to have and all of our coaches are willing to have those conversations and try to make you understand as much as we can. And
Of course.
and always understand that we'll always give your player, your child, the opportunity to get what they feel they deserve. But understand, even that, depending on the situation, may not be enough. And you have to be okay with that, because if you're not, you're just setting yourself up to fail. So again, ask, 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 and we'll tell you. And it's going to really be up to them if they fail or succeed to get that starting spot that they covet. And understand, once you get there, it's a lot of work to keep it. It's not going to be something that you get and then you go, okay, I'm starting now, I got it. It doesn't work like that. Because the next week, that one kid, like you mentioned, can come and snatch it right back because he showed you up at practice. He did more than you at practice. He was communicating more than you at practice. He was getting after the 50-50 balls, diving on the floor. He gave more effort than you at practice. So once you get it, don't squander it, right? Do everything you can to make sure you maintain it. So, yeah, please just ask, and I'm sure there'll be an answer. You may not like it, but it'll definitely be an answer for you for sure.
Man, well, I think that was good. I think we went over a lot. Hopefully it's something people find is valuable and is helpful for them this season and for their players. And again, I think the biggest thing is just communicate and be willing to accept the information you're going to get and use it to make you stronger. If I'm telling you something, hopefully it helps you. Anything else you want to end with?
No, man. Just I'm excited, and I hope everybody is excited as well. And good luck. SFBA, we're coming. We're coming, man.
We're coming.
We're coming.
Coach Prime, we coming.
We got to do everything we can to prepare. And again, you and I and all our coaches, we're definitely in the midst of getting our players prepared, and I hope the parents are prepared. And again, your support is definitely appreciated. And shout out to everybody at SFBA, man. Great community, great families, great people. So let's get ready. Let's get it.
Real quick, a couple things. If you found anything we're doing here helpful, please make sure to like, subscribe, click on those links, those bells, all those things. Also, if you have a child that is going into third grade or is in the 8th grade, we have our 2024 Summer Hoops Academy, which is coming up this summer. It'll be in San Francisco at St. Stephen's. So we actually have signups that have been coming through pretty regularly so far.
Wow,
so
great.
Make sure you get on it. It's always around this time, February, March. Families are figuring out their summers, vacations. And then I got to tell people, this session's full. Sorry. No, I don't want to add more kids. We have a certain amount because we can teach this amount. I get more than that, it just becomes daycare. And we're not doing daycare. We're teaching basketball. So SFBA, sportsperformance.com. Sign up, register, get locked in, and let's get work this summer.
I love the plug, man. That's incredible.
Got to pull the plug. We don't have a sponsor, so we're our own sponsor.
Yeah.
We got to
we're always looking for things that we can do to boost player potential, and hopefully there's some logistical things that we can come up with that may be able to fill in a void. Like a couple years, it was a summer league that we had. Starting a high school development program for kids who are trying to just get better off season. Ended up playing a couple of games just to kind of put that out there. So there's always some things that we try to do. So, keep a lookout for the website, go there regularly, check it out. Again, if you have any questions, the links are in the emails are there. So, please, anything that we can do to kind of service our community and service the people around us, to let us know. And if we can make something happen, we can make it happen.
All right, folks. So from me, Coach White, Coach Ken, thank you for checking out the latest episode. We'll get ready on the next one, and wish y'all well. Peace.